intricacy in your work reminds me a lot of the Nepalese mandalas. But they're very precise and very repetitive.
Yeah.
Yours is precise and free.
Yeah. A lot of people will say what they see, and I've heard like a lot of the similar things like over the years. Sometimes I've like, oh, I did not think of that, and other times I'm like, ooh, I'm really glad you picked up on that. I was always interested in like patterns, like repetitive patterns. So I was doing drawings with like wood grain, like maybe seashells, stuff like that, like nests. I liked just kind of being repetitive. In high school, I did a lot of figures, so I was doing representational like people. But in college, that quickly like moved into like what you see now. Yeah, I was doing representational, and yeah, I've done lots of landscapes and plein air stuff. I was gonna like do these like large scale figures, but I just didn't want to spend all the time like on all those details. It was like so tedious to me. So I focused on like hair and like fabrics. That's how like the lines came out, because I was doing the hair, I was doing the lines, and I was doing lines. It just really kind of naturally went from that to like totally abstracted. I think it's because I was always curving the line, and then I was like building, so I was building all these like structures. So I was using both the raw canvas and paper. Like when I was in college, like I had like watercolor paper. I think I had to stretch canvases and gesso them, and I hated doing that, and I hated the feeling of the gesso. I hated painting on it, and I just didn't gesso it one time. I started painting on it, and I like loved it, like how it's like porous and how it, absorbent. The reason that I pretty much only use the canvas now is the paper. It's harder to display, it kind of rips. It's just not as substantial. So I mean, I actually like drawing on the canvas. The figures and everything was like acrylic. I started some colored pencils. It was just always kind of chaotic. I was like layering things and kind of using a lot of different materials. So the pastels actually came from, I was gifted a set and I'd never used them before. I started just doing it on top of my acrylics, and I started doing a little more. And then I've since like left my acrylics behind completely. Now it's just all pastel. I guess since I learned that I could kind of basically paint with them, like layering them down and like blending them and mixing it with water, I feel like I'm drawing and painting all at the same time. Take a big stack of computer paper, get like a nice pen that I like, and I'll just kind of not think hard at all about what I'm doing. A little bit of an idea of like how I might want the composition to be, but mostly I'm just like seeing what comes out. So it's like this will be ugly. That's the goal. And usually when I'm not thinking at all, that's when I come up with the drawings that I really like. Whenever I do translate, since it's a small paper and I'm usually making it into a much larger painting, when I translate it to the larger scale, since I'm not like using a projector and tracing it, I mean, they're like these, I guess you could call it like an intuitive drawing. So I kind of let that also happen on the canvas. So when I'm kind of copying the drawing, it's more for the placement of things and a little bit of the composition, and it's always going to be changed a little bit. But yeah, so I'll just kind of let it, flow and go where it wants to go. I was really stuck on blue and purple for a while. So with these paintings that like this one here and these, I just pulled all the oranges. I had no blues and no purples. So I was like, we're gonna like move away. The reason I'm drawn to those particular colors too, they're like kind of colors in the sky. So like sunset colors, or like the blue and purple was like a night. I wanted to shift, just trying to keep it abstract. Like it's not anything specifically, but there are a lot of things that it kind of like is stemming from. And a lot of people pick up on that, which I think is really interesting. My piece here, Portal, a couple came up to me and was like, telling me what they kind of like, asking why it's called Portal and like this and that, and saying like kind of what they thought. And she had mentioned like it made her think of like a womb, and he said something about like a portal and like from like another universe, kind of like a multi-dimensional kind of thing. I'm like, I love that. I love all of that.